Maya Rodriguez wheeled herself through the busy hallways of Lincoln High School, her backpack sitting carefully on her lap. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows, creating bright patches on the shiny floor tiles. She had been a student here for 3 years now, but the last 2 had been very different from her first year. 2 years ago, everything changed when a drunk driver ran a red light and crashed into her family's car. Maya's legs were badly hurt, and the doctors told her she would never walk again. At first, she thought her life was over. She cried for weeks and didn't want to see her friends or go back to school. But Maya was stronger than she knew. With help from her loving family and months of physical therapy, she learned how to live life in a wheelchair. Her parents bought her a bright purple wheelchair that she decorated with colorful stickers and small bells that jingled softly when she moved. Maya's older brother Carlos helped her practice getting around their house, going up ramps, and reaching things on high shelves. Her little sister Sophia painted a beautiful rainbow on the back of her wheelchair to make it more special. Slowly, Maya began to smile again and decided she wanted to return to school and continue her education. When Maya first came back to Lincoln High in her wheelchair, most students were kind and helpful. Teachers moved desks to make room for her to get around easily. The school installed new ramps and wider doors to help her move between classrooms. Her best friends Jessica and Amanda stayed close by her side, helping carry her books and making sure she felt included in everything. Maya worked extra hard on her studies and became one of the top students in her grade. She was especially good at math and science, and she tutored younger students after school. Despite the challenges, Maya felt proud of how much she had overcome. However, not everyone at school was understanding about Maya's situation. There were some students who stared at her wheelchair and whispered behind her back. A few kids would move extra slowly in the hallways just to make it harder for her to get to class on time. Some students acted like she was invisible, talking over her head as if she wasn't there. But Maya tried her best to ignore the unkind behavior and focus on the positive things in her life. She joined the school's math club and volunteered to help organize school events. Maya wanted to prove that being in a wheelchair didn't make her any less capable or valuable than other students. On this particular Tuesday morning, Maya felt excited because it was her favorite day of the week. She had advanced chemistry class with Mr. Peterson, who always made science fun and interesting. After chemistry, she had lunch with her friends, and then art class where she was working on a beautiful painting of a sunset. Maya loved art because it made her feel free and creative. When she was painting or drawing, she forgot all about her wheelchair and just focused on making something beautiful. As Maya rolled toward her locker to get her chemistry books, she passed groups of students talking and laughing together. She recognized most of the faces after 3 years at the school, even though she wasn't friends with everyone. Near the main staircase, she noticed Jake Morrison and his 2 best friends, Connor Walsh and Tyler Stevens. They were popular boys who played on the football team and always seemed to be the center of attention. Maya had never really talked to them much, but she knew they were the type of students who thought they were better than everyone else. Maya focused on opening her combination lock and getting her books organized. She had learned to do everything from her wheelchair, including reaching the higher shelves in her locker by using a special grabbing tool. As she placed her chemistry notebook in her backpack, Maya smiled to herself, thinking about the fun experiment Mr. Peterson had planned for today's class. Jake Morrison stood near his locker with his 2 best friends, Connor Walsh and Tyler Stevens, acting like they owned the entire hallway. Jake was the tallest of the 3 boys, with messy brown hair and a cocky smile that he used to charm teachers and impress girls. He wore his football jersey even though it wasn't game day, wanting everyone to remember that he was the star quarterback. Connor was shorter but muscular, with bright red hair and freckles covering his face. He followed Jake around like a loyal puppy, always laughing at his jokes and agreeing with everything he said. Tyler was the quiet one of the group, but he had mean eyes that made other students uncomfortable when he stared at them. The 3 boys had been best friends since elementary school, and they had a reputation for being troublemakers. They thought it was funny to play pranks on other students, especially those who were different or couldn't fight back. Last week, they had put glue on Nerdy Kevin's chair, making him stick to his seat during math class. The week before that, they spread rumors about Shy Sarah having a crush on the janitor, making her cry in the bathroom. Teachers rarely punished them because Jake's father was a wealthy businessman who donated lots of money to the school. Mr. Morrison owned 3 car dealerships in town and was friends with the school board members. Jake was feeling especially mean this morning because his father had yelled at him the night before. His report card showed failing grades in 2 classes, and his dad threatened to take away his car if his grades didn't improve. Jake was angry and wanted to take out his frustration on someone else. He looked around the hallway, searching for an easy target to make himself feel better. His eyes landed on Maya as she struggled to reach something in her top locker shelf. "Hey guys, look at Wheels over there," Jake said with a nasty grin, pointing at Maya. He always called her Wheels instead of using her real name, thinking it was clever and funny. Connor and Tyler turned to look and started snickering. "I bet she can't even reach her own stuff," Connor added, making Tyler laugh louder. The 3 boys watched Maya use her special grabbing tool to get her books, and they thought it looked ridiculous. Maya finished organizing her backpack and closed her locker with a soft click. She needed to get to chemistry class on the 2nd floor, which meant taking the elevator that was located near the cafeteria. As she began wheeling down the hallway, she moved carefully around other students who were rushing to their classes. Maya always tried to stay close to the wall so she wouldn't block anyone's path. She smiled politely at classmates she recognized and said, "Excuse me," when she needed to get around groups of students. Jake watched Maya rolling away and got an idea that he thought would be hilarious. "Follow me," he whispered to his friends, and the 3 boys began walking behind Maya, staying about 10 feet back so she wouldn't notice them. They matched her speed, walking slowly and quietly like they were hunting an animal. Other students in the hallway noticed the boys following Maya, but nobody said anything because they were afraid of getting in trouble with Jake and his crew. As Maya approached the elevator, she pressed the button and waited patiently for it to arrive. The hallway was getting more crowded as students hurried to their 2nd period classes. Jake saw his opportunity and decided to make his move. He signaled to Connor and Tyler with a quick nod, and they understood exactly what he wanted them to do. The 3 boys had done this kind of thing before to other students, and they worked together like a mean-spirited team. Maya heard the elevator ding and saw the doors begin to open. She positioned her wheelchair to roll inside, completely unaware that 3 bullies were standing right behind her, planning something cruel that would ruin her entire day. As the elevator doors opened with a soft ding, Maya began to wheel herself forward into the small space. She was thinking about her chemistry class and the fun experiment Mr. Peterson had promised to show them today. Maya loved learning about how different chemicals could change colors when mixed together. She was almost completely inside the elevator when she felt a sudden, hard push from behind that sent her wheelchair spinning sideways. Jake had shoved the back of Maya's wheelchair with both hands, using all his strength. The unexpected force caused her wheelchair to tip dangerously to the left side. Maya's backpack flew off her lap and crashed to the floor, spilling all her books, pencils, and papers everywhere. Her chemistry notebook slid across the hallway floor, and her favorite purple pen rolled under someone's feet and got stepped on. Maya tried to grab the elevator doorframe to steady herself, but it was too late. The wheelchair flipped over completely, and Maya tumbled out onto the cold hallway floor with a loud crash that echoed through the corridor. Her body hit the hard tiles with a painful thud, and she scraped her elbow on the rough surface. Maya's long dark hair covered her face as she lay there, feeling shocked and confused about what had just happened. The beautiful rainbow that her little sister Sophia had painted on her wheelchair was now facing the ceiling, and one of the colorful stickers had torn off. "Oops. Sorry, Wheels, didn't see you there," Jake said in a fake innocent voice, but he was smiling widely and trying not to laugh. Connor and Tyler couldn't control themselves and burst into loud laughter, pointing at Maya lying on the ground next to her overturned wheelchair. "Maybe you should get a license to drive that thing," Connor shouted, making Tyler laugh even harder. Several other students in the hallway stopped walking and stared at the scene, but most of them just watched quietly, too scared to help Maya or tell the bullies to stop. Maya felt her cheeks burning with embarrassment as dozens of students gathered around to see what had happened. Some kids pulled out their phones and started taking pictures and videos of her lying helplessly on the floor. She could hear people whispering and giggling, and she knew that everyone was looking at her like she was some kind of entertainment. Maya had never felt so small and powerless in her entire life. Tears began to fill her eyes, but she tried hard not to cry in front of everyone. "Someone help her up," said a girl's voice from somewhere in the crowd, but nobody moved to actually help. Most students were afraid that if they helped Maya, Jake and his friends would target them next. Others were too busy recording videos on their phones to upload to social media later. Maya tried to push herself up with her arms, but her elbow was bleeding and hurt too much to put weight on it. Jake, Connor, and Tyler stood over Maya like they were proud of what they had done. "Come on, guys, we're going to be late for class," Jake said casually, as if knocking over a girl in a wheelchair was just a normal part of his morning routine. The three boys high-fived each other and walked away, stepping over Maya's scattered books without even looking back. They disappeared into the crowd of students, leaving Maya alone on the floor. Finally, Mrs. Martinez, the Spanish teacher, pushed through the crowd of students. "What happened here?" she asked with concern in her voice. She immediately knelt down next to Maya and began checking if she was seriously hurt. "Someone call the nurse right now," Mrs. Martinez shouted to the students who were still standing around watching. "And someone help me get this wheelchair upright." Two older students finally stepped forward to help lift Maya's purple wheelchair and set it properly on its wheels again. Maya wiped the tears from her eyes and whispered, "I'm okay. I think I'm okay." But deep inside, she felt broken and humiliated. Across the hallway, 17-year-old Zara Johnson had been walking to her English class when she heard the loud crash. She turned around just in time to see Maya lying on the floor next to her overturned wheelchair. Zara watched Jake, Connor, and Tyler laughing and high-fiving each other as they walked away like nothing had happened. Her heart began beating fast with anger, and her hands formed tight fists at her sides. Zara was new to Lincoln High School, having moved to town just 3 months ago when her mother got a new job at the hospital. She was a tall, strong girl with short curly hair and intelligent brown eyes that missed nothing. At her old school in Detroit, Zara had been bullied by older kids who made fun of her because her family didn't have much money. She remembered how it felt to be pushed around and laughed at, and she had promised herself that she would never let anyone else go through that pain if she could stop it. Unlike most students who were afraid of Jake and his friends, Zara wasn't scared of anyone. She had grown up in a tough neighborhood where she learned to stand up for herself and protect others who couldn't fight back. Her grandmother had always told her, "Baby girl, when you see someone being hurt and you do nothing, you become part of the problem." Those words echoed in Zara's mind as she watched Mrs. Martinez helping Maya back into her wheelchair. Zara had noticed Maya around school before and thought she seemed like a sweet, kind person. She had seen Maya tutoring younger students and always saying please and thank you to everyone. Maya never bothered anyone and always tried to stay out of people's way. Watching her get bullied made Zara's blood boil with rage. She decided right then and there that Jake Morrison and his friends were going to pay for what they had done. While Mrs. Martinez and a few students helped Maya collect her scattered books and papers, Zara quietly followed Jake, Connor, and Tyler down the hallway. She listened to them talking and laughing about their cruel prank. "Did you see her face when she hit the ground?" Connor was saying, still giggling like a little kid. "That was awesome, Jake. We should do that again tomorrow," Tyler added, making all three boys laugh even louder. Zara pulled out her phone and started recording their conversation from a distance. She was smart and knew that she would need evidence if she was going to make them face consequences for their actions. Jake was bragging about how easy it was to push over wheels and how funny she looked lying on the floor. The three boys were so busy laughing and congratulating themselves that they didn't notice Zora following them and recording everything they said. During lunch period, Zora sat alone at a table in the corner of the cafeteria, planning her revenge carefully. She was not the type of person to act without thinking first. Zora was extremely smart and had always been good at solving problems and coming up with creative solutions. She pulled out a notebook and began writing down everything she knew about Jake, Connor, and Tyler. Zora had learned from watching other students that Jake's father was rich and powerful in the town. Mr. Morrison owned several businesses and gave money to the school, which was probably why Jake never got in serious trouble for his bullying. Connor's family was also wealthy. His dad was a lawyer who had helped the school district win an important court case last year. Tyler's parents weren't as rich, but his uncle was the assistant principal at the middle school, so he had connections too. But Zora also knew that rich and powerful people cared a lot about their reputation in the community. If their bad behavior became public knowledge, it could cause serious problems for their families. Zora had an idea that would expose Jake and his friends in a way that they couldn't escape or cover up with money and connections. That evening, Zora went home and spent hours researching on her computer. She looked up Jake's social media accounts and discovered that he had been posting mean videos and photos for months. He had a public Instagram account with over 500 followers, where he regularly made fun of other students. There were videos of him tripping kids in the hallway, photos of students with embarrassing captions, and comments that were cruel and hurtful. Zora found posts where Jake called other students names like loser, freak, and weirdo. He had shared pictures of kids who had fallen down or spilled food on themselves, always with mean comments that made his followers laugh. Connor and Tyler appeared in many of the videos, helping Jake bully other students while someone else filmed them. The three boys thought they were funny and cool, but Zora could see that they were just cruel bullies who enjoyed hurting people. The next morning, Zora woke up early with a clear plan in her mind. She had stayed up late creating a presentation on her computer that compiled all of Jake's mean social media posts into one powerful slideshow. She included screenshots of his worst comments, videos of him bullying other students, and photos where he made fun of kids who looked different or acted differently than him. Zora also wrote a speech about bullying and how it affected students' mental health and ability to learn. She had researched statistics about teenage depression and suicide rates caused by bullying, and she wanted to make sure everyone understood how serious the problem was. Her presentation was professional and well organized, like something a college student might create. At 7:30 a.m., before most students had arrived at school, Zora went to the main office and asked to speak with Principal Henderson. Mrs. Cooper, the secretary, told her that the principal was busy preparing for the day, but Zora insisted it was an emergency involving student safety. When Principal Henderson finally agreed to see her, Zora walked into his office carrying her laptop and a folder full of printed evidence. "Mr. Henderson, my name is Zora Johnson, and I need to report a serious bullying incident that happened yesterday," she began in a calm, confident voice. Principal Henderson was a middle-aged man with gray hair and kind eyes who genuinely cared about his students. He invited Zora to sit down and explain what had happened. Zora told him about seeing Maya get pushed out of her wheelchair by Jake and his friends. She showed him the video she had recorded of the boys bragging about their cruel prank afterward. Then she opened her laptop and displayed Jake's social media accounts, showing months of evidence that he had been systematically bullying multiple students. Principal Henderson's face grew more serious and angry as he looked at each piece of evidence. He had heard rumors about Jake being a troublemaker, but he had never seen proof this clear and overwhelming. "This is completely unacceptable behavior," he said firmly. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, Miss Johnson. We're going to take immediate action." Principal Henderson was so shocked and disturbed by what Zara had shown him that he decided to call an emergency school assembly for that afternoon. He wanted every student and teacher to understand how serious bullying was and what the consequences would be for anyone who chose to hurt their classmates. He asked Zara if she would be willing to present her evidence to the entire school and talk about the importance of treating everyone with respect and kindness. Zara felt nervous about speaking in front of hundreds of people, but she knew it was the right thing to do. She spent her lunch period practicing her speech and making sure her presentation was perfect. She wanted to make sure that Jake and his friends would face real consequences for their actions and that other potential bullies would think twice before hurting innocent students. At 2:00 p.m., all 800 students and teachers at Lincoln High School filed into the large auditorium for the unexpected assembly. Students were confused and curious about why they had been called together on such short notice. Jake, Connor, and Tyler sat in the middle section with their other friends, joking around and not paying attention to what was happening on stage. Maya sat in the front row in her wheelchair, still feeling embarrassed and hurt from yesterday's incident. She had no idea that Zara had been working to help her get justice. Maya's friends Jessica and Amanda sat on either side of her, offering support and comfort. Principal Henderson walked onto the stage with a serious expression on his face. The auditorium fell silent as students realized something important was about to happen. "Students and faculty," he began, "we are here today to address a serious problem that has been happening in our school. Bullying is not acceptable under any circumstances, and today we're going to see exactly what it looks like and what the consequences will be." He introduced Zara as a brave student who had witnessed bullying and chose to take action instead of staying silent. Zara walked onto the stage feeling scared but determined. She looked out at the sea of faces staring at her and took a deep breath before beginning her presentation. "Yesterday morning, I watched 3 students deliberately push a girl in a wheelchair to the ground," Zara began, her voice strong and clear despite her nervousness. "They knocked Maya Rodriguez out of her wheelchair, scattered her books everywhere, and then laughed about it as they walked away. But that wasn't the end of their cruelty." Zara connected her laptop to the large screen behind her and began showing Jake's social media posts to the entire school. The first image was a photo Jake had taken of a student who had tripped and fallen, with the caption, "What a loser, can't even walk straight." The auditorium gasped as they realized what they were seeing. More images appeared on the screen. Videos of Jake and his friends making fun of students who stuttered, photos of kids with mean comments about their clothes or appearance, and posts where they called their classmates horrible names. With each new piece of evidence, the students in the auditorium became more shocked and disgusted by what they were seeing. Jake's face turned bright red as he realized his cruel posts were being displayed for everyone to see. He sank lower in his seat, trying to hide from the hundreds of eyes that were now staring at him with anger and disappointment. Connor and Tyler looked just as embarrassed and scared, finally understanding that their actions had real consequences. "This is what bullying looks like," Zara continued, her voice getting stronger with each word. "It's not funny. It's not cool. It's cruel and cowardly. When you hurt someone who can't fight back, you're not showing strength. You're showing how weak and insecure you really are." The video Zara had recorded of Jake bragging about pushing Maya played on the big screen. The entire school could hear him laughing and saying how easy it was to knock over wheels. Students began whispering angrily to each other, and some teachers shook their heads in disgust. Maya looked up at the screen with tears in her eyes, but this time they were tears of gratitude instead of sadness. Someone had finally stood up for her and shown everyone the truth about what she had endured. She felt a mixture of pain from reliving the humiliation and relief that justice was finally being served. After Zara's powerful presentation ended, Principal Henderson took the microphone and announced the consequences that Jake, Connor, and Tyler would face. Effective immediately, these 3 students are suspended from school for 2 weeks, he declared firmly. They will also be required to attend counseling sessions about bullying and empathy, and they must complete 40 hours of community service at our local disability resource center. The principal continued. Additionally, their parents have been contacted and are required to attend a meeting with school counselors and administrators. All of their social media accounts will be monitored, and any future bullying behavior will result in expulsion from Lincoln High School. Jake's father, who had been called to the school immediately after the assembly, was waiting in the principal's office. Mr. Morrison was furious and embarrassed when he saw the evidence of his son's behavior. For the first time in Jake's life, his father's money and influence couldn't protect him from the consequences of his actions. Over the next 2 weeks, Jake, Connor, and Tyler were required to spend time volunteering at the Sunshine Disability Center downtown. They helped people in wheelchairs with daily activities, learned about the challenges that disabled individuals face, and began to understand how their cruel words and actions affected real people with real feelings. Jake was also required to write a sincere apology letter to Maya and read it aloud in front of his parents, the principal, and a school counselor. When he finally faced Maya and tried to apologize, his voice shook with genuine remorse as he realized how much pain he had caused her. Maya, showing the same kindness and grace that made her special, accepted Jake's apology with dignity. "I forgive you," she said quietly, "but I hope you've learned that everyone deserves to be treated with respect, no matter what they look like or what challenges they face." Zara and Maya became close friends after this incident. They started an anti-bullying club at Lincoln High School that met every week to discuss ways to create a more inclusive and supportive environment for all students. Their club grew to over 50 members within a month, and they organized assemblies, workshops, and peer support groups. The other students at school began to see Maya not as someone to pity or pick on, but as a strong, inspiring person who deserved respect and admiration. Zara learned that standing up for others sometimes requires courage and risk, but it's always the right thing to do when someone is being hurt. Jake, Connor, and Tyler eventually returned to school as changed young men who had learned valuable lessons about empathy, kindness, and the power of their words and actions to either hurt or heal others. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. 3.7 Sonnet.